CLNSradio.com, the home of Internet Sports Talk Radio.
All right, everybody, you are live here with me, Mike Munger, the Scotsman from Return to the Rafters, and, of course, my friend, former NBA official, Tim Donaghy. Tim, how are you, bud?
I'm doing good, pal. How are you doing?
If you remember back when Glenn Davis was at LSU, he was another heavy-set guy with, decent post moves, but I'm not getting the hype about Jared Sullinger.
No, he's not for real, and I don't think Big Baby's for real either.
But he's still one of the better six men in the league, and a couple years ago, if you question his athleticism, I agree with you. The guy looked like he did In-N-Out Burger before, during, and after every game. He's not.
He looked like he took them in, but I don't know where I don't see any of them coming out. I'm just in shock at something like this. I mean, this is absurd to me. If she is going to do it, it's just, it's really strange and absurd to me. I mean, I almost am a loss for words with this one, and I'm not for a loss of too many things in my life. I just find it very strange that a college woman wants to now become a man and still wants to play on the women's team.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, look, this girl feels like she's a man and feels like she should be a man, and, fine, whatever. What if I say that, wow, I feel like I still have the maturity level of a 16, 17-year-old boy, I should be allowed to play high school basketball?
This is Mike Munger, a.k.a. the Scotsman from Return to the Raptors. Join me and my friend, former NBA official Tim Donaghy, on Technically Speaking, Wednesdays at 8 o'clock on CLNS Radio.
Folks, World Series, it started at 7 o'clock. We saw the intro. We saw the national anthem. We did not see Dirk Nowitzki.
Ridiculous.
Scotty.
It's flat out ridiculous because here's the thing. Major League Baseball, they're basically doing this because it's almost like they want to be part of that little fraternity here. That's my opinion. They don't want to upset the NBA, so they're not going to let Dirk Nowitzki come out and get cheered by the fans. They don't want to give the fans any reason to cheer a player because they want to back their NBA brethren. It's so friggin' ridiculous. I mean, come on. Baseball has absolutely no reason to act like this. It's so stupid. I can't believe they didn't do it. I mean, the guy won a championship down there for in Dallas. Come on, this is just friggin' ridiculous.
The reports say Major League Baseball does not like to promote any other major sport. What a crock of bullshit.
I mean, if they wanted to get the fans excited and get them pumped up, and they're obviously in a situation where they're in front of the world, they should have brought them out there. The place would have started out with a bang, and it would have really got everybody excited. I mean, I'm not sure why they didn't do it, but maybe they'll get it done before the series is over. Maybe they bring him in for a pivotal game, 5, 6, or 7 down the line.
Yeah, definitely a good lead into this topic because Trent Rosecrans from CBS Sports, he put the news up today about Dirk Nowitzki being excluded from throwing out the first pitch tonight at the World Series, and CBS Sports asked Major League Baseball officials directly, and they denied for any reason that Dirk was not eligible to throw out the first pitch, basically because, again, Major League Baseball does not like to support any other sport. Trent tonight is our guest. He's coming on in about 6 minutes. Trent Rosecrans from CBS Sports. Mike, World Series going on. We got the Rangers and the Cardinals.
Real quick, Major League Baseball is flat out lying about not wanting to get involved with other sports because last time I checked, when the Celtics won the championship, they let them parade around Fenway with the title and let Paul Pierce throw out the first pitch. After Dallas won the title this year, Dirk Nowitzki already threw the first pitch out down in Arlington, so it's complete crap. They're just so full of it.
Let me ask you this, guys. I mean, is it up to Major League Baseball, or isn't it, the home team who throws out the first pitch, or do they have to get permission and get everybody approved through the league office? I don't know why the Texas Rangers just wouldn't make that decision themselves.
The way I understand it is each team is allowed to submit there are 8 people that they would like to have throw out the first pitch. And Mike, correct me if I'm wrong here. I've kind of read up on this, and so Major League Baseball allows each team to pick 8 people, personalities. And included in the previous series was the cartoon character. Help me out here, Scotty, if you could. They had an actual cartoon character throw out the first pitch. It was Sully, and it was for Game 6 of the Brewers-Cardinals series. So I don't really understand why Major League Baseball would deny Dirk Nowitzki.
I don't either. I bet you if they'd applied to have Mark Cuban do it, they would have said yes in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah, I mean, come on. And like you said, Mikey, I mean the Boston Celtics were parading all around Fenway after the championship. I mean, Tim, what would be the reason behind this? I mean, I don't understand. Why would Major League Baseball not want an NBA champion to throw out the first pitch? Maybe because he's not American?
No, I doubt that. I just think that it's a screwed up situation. I'm not sure why they wouldn't want him out there. I think it would get them more publicity, around America and throughout the world if he did do it. But who knows? I think that they're certainly a little nervous going into this World Series. It's the first time since 1995, from what I understand, they haven't had a coast team in the World Series. When you talk about an L.A., a New York, a Boston, a Philly, I'm sure the ratings are going to absolutely suck for this World Series. And I'm wondering if, they look at that as much as basketball looks at that, and if it's as important to them, as it is to the NBA to have those teams in there that can bring in the ratings. And I'm sure that, these ratings are going to be terrible, even if it gets to a Game 7.
How bad could it be for sports right now? I mean, the NBA is locked out. No games anywhere in the near foreseeable future. Tim, you've been on this show and other shows across the country pretty much publicly stating that you think there probably won't be basketball until December. And now you got Major League Baseball with really two small market teams. Bummer, no Yankees, no Phillies. I mean, Tim, in your past, have you had friendships with umpires from Major League Baseball?
Sure. I mean, I played some big money golf matches with some of the Major League umpires.
Of course you did.
It's something where I'm sure they like to gamble too. And it was funny because I was just watching Sports Center, and they were talking about the Boston team and how they were eating and drinking in the locker room during the game, and how they'd have a guy go in there and report back to tell them what the scores were during the football games because they all had action on the football games. So, it's funny, how some of this stuff little by little leaks out and, gets out into the public eye. It's certainly something that Major League Baseball doesn't want out there, that, guys are in there pounding beers during the game. It reminds me back when Jess Kersey and I refereed a game, and he was having some, he was having some drinking problems, and he was loading up the vodka in the Gatorade and putting it at the table, and come to right around the start of the fourth quarter, he'd start hitting the Gatorade and vodka, and by the end of the game, he was feeling pretty good.
Now that, Mike, how are you not honing in on that one? First of all, Jess Kersey. Second of all, drinking basically Gatorade sluggers during the middle of NBA games. Scotty,
I'm not shocked at anything that Tim says about what the referees did back in the day. I mean, I had to be silent because I felt like if I would have just said what was going through my head at the time, then we just have to end the show and be like, apologies to anybody out there that has this on with kids in the room. I'm not shocked. I'm really not. I mean, going back to what you guys were talking about with the ratings, I mean, that's just sports. And the funny thing is, people wouldn't watch the series if New York was in it because they were Yankees fans. Most of them would watch because they wanted to watch the Yankees lose because they're one of those teams that's hated. Same thing with Philadelphia. I mean, fans of other teams don't like big market teams, especially New York and Philly, basically because of their fans. Because as you both know, Yankee fans are obnoxious. Let's just get that out there. I think we can all agree on the fact that Yankee fans are some of the most obnoxious idiots that the world has ever seen. And Philadelphia fans in general, despite the fact that they've been one of the laughing stocks, professional sports as a city for a long time. It took the Phillies a couple of years ago for them to finally get a championship. They've had some of the most ridiculous fans. I mean, maybe it's just because I know Eagles fans.
What's the matter with fans throwing snowballs at players and referees, throwing batteries, getting in all-out brawls with you? What's the matter with that? It makes for entertainment. It's supportive of the team.
Yeah, well, Scotty, when they were throwing the foam fingers down on the Staples Center last Christmas, you were one of the guys out there, bitching up and down, saying, "Oh, classless Lakers" and everything else. But I thought it was good entertainment value, if you ask me, as long as it's not going on in Boston.
Yeah, well, we don't do that. We don't have to do that. We've got, some of the most classy, knowledgeable, completely 100%, best fans in the world up here. When it comes to, well, at least basketball anyway. I think Patriots fans are a bunch of douchebags, pink cats. Same thing with the Red Sox, and then Bruins fans. The hardcore Bruins fans are all right, but then because of last year, they got a lot of pink cats there themselves. But yeah, I think that's the big reasoning why fans of other teams that aren't Philadelphia or Boston or New York fans watch a series with them in is because they want to see them lose. It's the same reason why, as a Celtics fan, Nick, you and I enjoyed every minute of the Dallas Lakers series, not because we were a fan of either team. We wanted to see Dallas kick the crap out of the Lakers. I mean, we get a lot of pleasure in the misery of teams that we don't like. It's human nature when it comes to sports. So, a lot of this stuff about the rating stuff, I believe we can ask Trent about when he comes on.
I can't deny that. All right, that's Trent Rosecrans. He is now in our screening room at the moment. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Actually, screw the commercial, Scotty. Let's just go live with Trent. So we're going to be joined right now by Trent Rosecrans from CBS Sports. Today, he posted the story on CBSSports.com about Dirk Nowitzki not being eligible to throw out the first pitch. So ridiculous. Now that Trent is on the line, welcome to the show. We got to dig right into this topic. What is going on in Texas with Major League Baseball that they won't allow NBA champion Dirk Nowitzki throw out the first pitch?
Their thinking is, why publicize another sport? Why not celebrate their own? That's pretty much what a couple officials told me. It's not anything to do with the labor situation. It's just that they would rather have baseball people throwing out the first pitch and baseball people being highlighted during a baseball game.
Well, Trent, is this, and I said this before you came on, in your opinion, is this something that Major League Baseball is looking at it? Because they've already had Dirk Nowitzki throw out the first pitch down in Texas before. Right after they won the championship, he was down there. He threw out the first pitch. We've seen it in Boston with the Celtics when they won the championship. Paul Pierce threw out the first pitch. So it's not like they don't mind having basketball players from their own hometowns do this when they think it's going to help them out. Is this something where Major League Baseball is kind of, doing a backhanded, slap to Dirk Nowitzki because he's a player, and MLB supporting the NBA owners, slash commissioner? They don't want to, make it seem like they're turning their back on their brethren?
I don't think so at all. I think it really is about wanting to highlight baseball. It's up to the teams. When you have 81 home games, up to 81 people, that's not a big deal. They raffle those off sometimes, some places. It's not a big deal. But when you have 7 of the World Series, they want to make it special. You look at who did it last year in Texas. Nolan Ryan, Ferguson Jenkins, both Hall of Famers, both former Rangers, and then George W. Bush, who was former owner of the team and also President of the United States, and George Herbert Walker Bush, who was also President of the United States. He's an Astros fan, but still. I think it's a lot about highlighting baseball and not worrying about and not trying to highlight other sports. And a lot of people see it as the owners not wanting to help out other owners or give them a platform. But, there's plenty of that anyway. I think it's just a matter of what happens is the team submits 10 to 15 names, and one of those names was Dirk Nowitzki, and baseball said, no, we don't want a basketball guy. And, I think if Roger Staubach comes out and throws out a first pitch, then maybe it's a little different, and we can say, no, it was because of that. But, it's still basketball in Texas. If a football player throws it out, then we'll say, okay, that was a little hypocritical, and maybe it was because of the labor situation. But if not, then I think we take them at their word.
Well, Trent, looking at this World Series and, with the 2 teams in it, basically everybody around the country, the consensus is that this is not going to be a highly rated World Series. Now, the fact is, Texas is a phenomenal baseball team. Nolan Ryan has built that team up. I guess a lot of people are saying in his image, you're having a lot of strong arms, good bullpen, and they got good good solid players in the field. But overall, the whole country, the majority of people aren't going to care about this outside of St. Louis and Texas. Is Major League Baseball worried at all about the potential ratings disaster for this because it doesn't have New York, Philadelphia, Boston, or one of the Los Angeles teams in it?
I think there's a little bit, but not a whole lot. You got to think the Cardinals are one of the most followed teams in baseball. The ratings aren't going to be huge, but they're not going to be huge unless the Red Sox or the Yankees are in it. And, a lot of people don't want to see those teams. I think there's a lot of people who, who's going to watch this? Here's the bottom line. Who's going to watch this? Baseball fans. If you're not a baseball fan, you're not going to watch it. It doesn't, the ratings are nice, but everything's ratings are going down because we have more choices than we used to. Of course, they're not what they were 20 years ago because, 20 years ago you had, 30, 40 channels. And then 30 years ago you had 3. Now you have 300, 400, 500. It's not the same, and I don't know that ratings is really the best way to measure much of anything, much less the people's interest in baseball.
Well, let me follow this up because like I said, it really is a good series from a baseball standpoint. I mean, and the storylines behind it, you have a guy that in Josh Hamilton on Texas who's overcome a lot. A lot has already been made about his past. He was a number 1 pick for the Tampa Bay Rays, had a lot of drug issues, and basically he recovered his career in his mid-20s. And then you look at the St. Louis Cardinals, who were essentially dead for the playoffs, and then they had the miraculous comeback to coincide with the Atlanta Braves collapse. I mean, there's a lot of good storylines here that baseball can run with. I mean, from everything you've heard, is this the kind of stuff that they're going to push to try and get the casual fans to watch, or are they just more or less marketing this towards the hardcore baseball fans that they know are going to watch 100%?
Well, I think they'll do that. Josh Hamilton's as phenomenal a story as you'll ever hear in sports. You have Albert Pujols, who's one of the greatest players of all time, perhaps the greatest right-handed hitter ever. They're going to push that. They're also going to push the St. Louis Cardinals. Here's a team. You have the Yankees who've won 27 championships. Well, who's second? The Cardinals. They've won 10. They're searching for 11 right now. These are things that they can pull on. It's a compelling story, and I think the people who know baseball and like baseball are going to watch it anyway, and maybe some others not. And at what point do you try to keep marketing to people who don't care anyway? And so, if it's just those baseball fans watching, we're going to see a great series, and I'm pretty sure it'll be on TV again next year, so I don't have to worry about it.
Trent, let me ask you this: when you talk about the playoff series that some of these guys have had, Albert Pujols and Nelson Cruz, they certainly have had a great playoff to this point. Which player do you think is more valuable to their team at this point? Who do you think is going to help their team the most in this World Series?
I think you got to go Pujols just because of Pujols' all-around game. This guy is, I just said he's probably the best right-handed hitter in the history of the game.
Yeah, that kind of shocked me a little bit, but go ahead.
Who's better, right-handed?
Of all time?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's funny, I mean, and I don't mean to jump in here, but a lot of people, before they found out what he did, would have said Manny Ramirez. Now, I don't know, Trent, your opinion on the, performance-enhancing stuff, but, Manny Ramirez was a phenomenal right-handed hitter. Mike Schmidt was a phenomenal right-handed hitter. Honestly, I think this kind of question all depends on how old somebody is, the era of which they come from.
I can see that. Pujols, though, here's a guy, he's OPS'd better than 1,000, and let's see, 8 of his 11 seasons. He's just been phenomenal. He's an unbelievable player. The other thing, what I was kind of going with before we got sidetracked on that was he's also a very good defensive first baseman. We saw his base running. We saw his just awareness on the field in, I think it was Game 2, when he made a throw to third that really kind of changed the tenor of that game. he's really just an unbelievable. He's such a smart player. He does everything well. I think he's fantastic. Just as an all-around player, you even take away his offensive production. And first base is the most demanding or most important defensive position, but yet he plays it so well. He adds to value there. He's a smart base runner. He's really pretty an amazing player. So I have trouble picking against Albert Pujols in just about anything because he has been so good in his career.
Do you think that the Cardinals are going to re-sign him, or do you think they're going to let him walk?
I think he re-signs with the Cardinals. Here's my thinking on that. As good as he is, he's also a little bit older. I don't know that there is any team that – I don't think he's worth as much to any team as he is to the Cardinals, if that makes any sense.
No, it does. I mean, he's been a Cardinal for a long time. It's like the whole Barry Bonds situation when they signed him that last time in San Francisco. I think it's similar in that respect to where he's been there so long and he's done so much for that organization that certainly if they win the World Series this year, it's going to be hard to let him walk away and not get in and be the top bidder to keep his services.
But the other thing is this, from people I hear from, that the Cardinals will win a tie and anything close, but he still wants to get paid, and it's going to cost them a lot.
What do you think it's going to cost? What do you think he'll command?
I think he is set that he wants to be the highest per year player and have the highest average contract, and that's more than $30 million a year. And I think it might. Wow. I think it'll get up to maybe 32, 33.
Trent, how long is that kind of contract going to go? I mean, is he looking at an A-Rod contract where he wants 10 years, $320 million, or are we talking, 5 years, $160? I mean, again, this is the National League where he has to play in the field too. So
I think it's going to take 7 or 8. He's 31, or reportedly 31. There's always that question. It's going to take 7 or 8. He wants this to be his last contract and be his big contract. The one thing about him with injuries is he's had a freakish, unnatural return from injuries. He's always been able to pop right back, even on and play through them. So who's to say aging isn't something else he's figured out? It'll be interesting to see exactly where this goes, but I think we're looking at 7-8 years, $30+ million per.
Well, Trent, it's funny you bring that up.
That kind of money could certainly bankrupt the whole organization, given somebody like that kind of money. I mean, you're talking $300 million.
Well, and you're also talking a team that already has Matt Holliday, a big contract, who has Adam Wainwright, an option, and some big money coming through. That's one of the big questions: is how do the Cardinals afford this long term? Because it does hamstring them a bit. That said, he's going to command this. He's the best player in the game. The Red Sox and Yankees apparently, by most accounts, are probably out. Where else is it going to come from? I honestly don't see him not getting that kind of money. It seems, where can he get it? I think St. Louis can do it. St. Louis, for one reason, is they are, of these so-called small markets, this is a team that supports baseball like no other. They sell out all the time. They have such a great following, both locally and nationally. If anybody can do it, I think it's the Cardinals. But again, you have Matt Holliday making $17 million through 2016. You have Chris Carpenter. He signed the next 2 years at 21 total. It's really kind of going to be interesting to see where this all goes. They also signed Lance Berkman up for next year, and the extension there is kind of Pujols insurance if those things don't work out. And then they have,
do you think there's any way that Pujols is on any type of juice or supplements? He's got that muscular build. He's put on a lot of muscle over the years. Do you think there's any chance he's beating the system a little bit?
I couldn't say no to any player who's played in the last 20 years.
Right.
I
would agree.
I don't think you can say no to anybody. There are people I think probably more than others, and I don't know. And I don't know. You can't prove a negative. But, yeah, I can't say I haven't had suspicions about anybody who's played. And that's kind of where I stand on the whole Hall of Fame thing. Is I assume everybody did, because it's probably closer to the truth than saying nobody did.
No, but I'm saying right now, today, do you think it's possible, or do you think?
Oh yeah.
Okay, all right, good.
I mean, they still don't test for HGH.
Right.
So yeah, that's a pretty easy round. I think it's possible. And I'm not singling out Albert Pujols. I'm saying every player in the game is under suspicion because of the way it's been done.
Well, Trent, you say that there's nobody that you say you can definitely say that you think hasn't used. There's one guy that again, consensus is that out of the steroid era, this was the guy that held the torch for being clean, and that was Ken Griffey Jr. I mean, you even have suspicions about him because he definitely doesn't fit the mold of a guy who even looked like he was juicing. I mean, he didn't come back from freakish injuries faster than anybody else. Yeah,
when he was 38, he looked like he was 38. He aged like he was 38.
I mean, he just had a sweet swing, I think.
I once described it as baseball porn, watching him swing. And I will say this, of the players of the last whatever and who I have a relationship with, the one I still text and who, a couple months ago I talked for a couple hours when he called me up is Ken Griffey Jr. I don't think he did. But I can't say that for 100% certain that he didn't. I think you have to have that idea. I know Ken pretty well. I know Ken is probably as well as any player I know. And I hold him in the highest regard, and I don't think he did, but I can't say for 100% sure. I can't say that there are no suspicions just because everybody by nature of playing during this time is under suspicion.
Well, Trent, look, I know we got a little off topic here, but we want to, before we go on to this whole Red Sox scandal thing, which seems to be real popular, especially up in my neck of the woods, what's your prediction for the World Series? You're a big baseball guy. I mean, if I had to predict, I'd say just on the strength of their pitching staff alone, I think Texas is going to take it. But, what's your prediction on the series?
It's funny. I've been asked this 3 times today, and I think I've given 3 answers. I'm going on. It's such a split. You have 2 teams with such good bullpens and such explosive offenses that it's really tough to kind of figure it out. I like as a whole, I prefer the Rangers pitching staff or starters, but if it's down to one guy and he can pitch 3 times, I'm taking Chris Carpenter. So it's a really difficult decision, and I guess in front today I went Cardinals in 7, but I wouldn't be surprised anything that happened. The last thing I was surprised about was with the Cardinals actually getting all the way. I kept picking against them. I didn't think there was a shot for them in the playoffs, and, they're going to just get rolled by Philly. And then I was like, I think Milwaukee will probably beat them. And now I'm finally on their side. So I'm picking the Cardinals, which means I guess the Phillies or the Rangers will win.
Yeah, it seems like you have the jinx thing going on here. Look, up here, this whole Red Sox scandal, let me just say, these guys, it's so ridiculous to have to listen to this crap on the radio. I mean, in this neck of the woods, they claim to like winners, and they're focusing so much of their attention on this loser franchise like the Red Sox are right now. I mean, they had the biggest collapse in Major League Baseball history. The season is done. You're in the middle of football. The Bruins just came back. You had NBA lockout going on here, which could potentially ruin the last of the big 3 era for the Celtics. And all these people want to talk about up here is friggin' fried chicken, beer, and video games. Now, out of all your contacts that you may have up in this neck of the woods, I mean, is there any validity to this crap? Because you got so many different stories up here.
Oh, yeah.
How about the prostitutes they sit in the locker room, too, during the games?
Right.
I don't, honestly, from what I know and what I've been around, a pitcher on his off day sitting in the clubhouse drinking beer, I wasn't surprised by it, and I was more surprised by the outcry. You got to remember, it wasn't that long ago. Remember 2004 when the so-called idiot team, they had a pregame ritual of taking a shot of Jack Daniels, and those were guys who were actually playing, but it's okay because they won. People are outraged because these guys lost, and it just seems like a silly double standard.
Yes, right.
If I'm the Red Sox, I don't want my pitchers on the off day doing that, but I'm not so naive to think that it doesn't happen. A lot of guys, I know most starting pitchers, especially the guys who are, say, charting pitches, a lot of times they're in the clubhouse during the whole game because they're watching on TV, so they have a better job of scouting pitches. They can get that angle from center field. I know most starting pitchers will do that. So I think it's more about the losing and people who are upset about the losing zeroing in on one thing. I'll tell you who's probably the happiest person about all this, who has got to be ecstatic about this whole pitcher, John Lackey, John Lester, and Josh Beckett thing. It's got to be Carl Crawford. So, because for a while we were just banging on him, and then this came out. And so now it's these three guys' fault, not Carl Crawford. So he's got to feel a lot better. Another
reason why this became such a scandal is, and I don't know if you've seen it yet, apparently a couple of their pitchers, I want to say it was Lackey, Beckett, Lester, and Buchholz, were involved in a country music video. Essentially, the song was, I like beer, I love beer, and they showed them at Fenway, right in front of the Green Monster in the locker room, I think in the dugout, mouthing the words, I like beer, just basically going along with the song. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that, as you know, aggravates hardcore Red Sox fans to no end. I mean, as somebody that covers the game, how aggravating is it that this is the kind of stuff that has to get talked about as opposed to what's actually going on the field?
Instead of the actual game, yeah. I think that's a great point. I mean, I would much rather discuss the failings of the pitching staff and why there wasn't any kind of younger development in their pitching staff and where was the development in the minor leagues to have any kind of suitable replacements, or the scouting that got you to this part that decided you to sign John Lackey to such a thing. I think that's much more important and much more germane to the future of this franchise than it would than whether those guys were in drinking beer or appeared in or have really bad taste in music, which apparently they do.
Sports fans, you're listening to Technically Speaking. We're live on www.clnsradio.com. The call-in number is 347-215-7771. And we are live right now with Trent from CBS Sports, former NBA official Tim Donaghy, and co-star of Return to the Rafters 2008 championship DVD for the Boston Celtics. Tim, let's throw this over to you.
Trent, let me ask you this. How happy would Babe Ruth have been if all this shit was going on when he was around? He would have demanded no trade to the Yankees so he could hang out in that locker room, don't you think?
Well, I think he was given a little carte blanche there as well. Or, think about Mickey Mantle. You read a lot about Mickey Mantle, how he performed under what he was doing. The game is always turned the other way when it comes to its stars. We were just talking about steroids, same thing. Who didn't know Mark McGwire was on steroids? We all knew that. We looked the other way because he was winning and he was hitting home runs. If this team wins, nobody cares whether John Lester and that crew is eating fried chicken in the clubhouse. If they win, this comes out, they get a KFC deal to advertise KFC and say that, we love KFC in the clubhouse during games. It's how we spend it. You should too. If they win, that's all that matters. In the end, they didn't, and so people are searching for excuses, and this is what we get.
Christ, I remember when John Kruk used to eat the hot dogs right in the dugout. They put him on TV when he was eating the hot dogs in the dugout.
Yeah, you want to talk about you know, John Buck for all sorts of things he did during his career. Yeah, and now he's talking about how bad it is.
Right.
It's pretty preposterous.
Trent, I mean, real quick, it was actually Popeyes. Just so you know, it was Popeye's chicken. But let me ask you, if this was guys that weren't some of the highest paid on the team, I mean, obviously you know about the ludicrous contract that Lackey has. Josh Beckett's one of their highest paid players. I mean, if it wasn't guys that were making ridiculous amounts of money and completely underperforming, if this was, you know, McDonald or, you know, some of their AAA guys that just came up, would it even be a story, or is it because it was overpaid guys that weren't performing?
Well, I think there's a lot of that. I mean, it was John Lackey, a guy who was just bad all year long. You know, John Lester and Josh Beckett had pretty darn good seasons. They didn't finish as strong as everybody else, and I mean, you can say that about anybody on the Red Sox team. So I think that's part of it too. Again, it's if you win, if you're a winner. If it was Dustin Pedroia, it's fine. Of course, it wouldn't be Dustin Pedroia because that's one guy who just doesn't operate that way, which is also part of it. So, yeah, the whole thing's getting blown up just because of who they are, what team they play for, how much money they make, and the epic collapse that happened. It's kind of a perfect storm. Plus, you know, it's such a great visual because everybody says, I want to be paid $1 million to sit on my ass, watch baseball, and drink beer and eat fried chicken. And so it's a little bit for everybody to say, you know, to go against these millionaire athletes and how upset we are and how terrible they are. You know, I think it's just we live in a society that loves to complain and loves to complain about other people and love to feel moral superiority to anybody in the public eye, and this just gives people another avenue to do it.
Yeah, well said, man. Hey, look, I think we're up against it here. We're going to take a quick break. But look, man, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show again. I'm glad you had the chance to come back on, and hope you don't mind, but you're our baseball guy, so anytime we have anything baseball to talk about, I hope we can, give you a call, and I appreciate you coming on again, man. I appreciate the favor.
No problem, fellas, anytime.
Hey, Trent, before you go, we know that your work can be found at cbssports.com. Do you have a Twitter handle?
Yeah, C-Trent. C-T-R-E-N-T.
Thanks a lot, Trent. We appreciate you joining us. Have a great night, and enjoy the World Series, man.
Thanks, guys.
That was Trent Rosecrans from CBSSports.com. Terrific guest. Great insights. Took time out from the World Series to chat with us three goons. I mean,
I don't know,
thanks
but
a lot.
I fell off the stool when he said Albert Pujols was the greatest right-hand hitter of all time. I mean, are you kidding me?
I heard you. Yeah, I heard you.
Very knowledgeable, but come on.
Guys, let's take a quick commercial break. We'll come back, open up the call lines. We got roughly 20 minutes left in the show, and we got a lot of hoops to talk here. NBA lockout. We also have soundbite from Magic Johnson bashing the chosen one. What could be better than that?
Your first choice for Internet Sports Talk Radio. CLNS Radio.
Hey, sports fans. Tim Donaghy here from the Sports Connection. I know the NBA better than anybody. That's why you need to call 1-800-308-9003 for today's free pick.
Thanks a lot, Timmy D. It's been a great year. Thanks to you. Guys, this is Danny D. Make sure you pick up that phone like Tim said. Give us a call for today's free pick at 1-800-308-9003 or visit us at DannyBasandBoy.info.
Okay, sports fans, we are back live on CLNSradio.com. You're listening to Technically Speaking with former NBA official Tim Donaghy, Mike Munger, the Scotsman, and myself, Nick Gelso. It's time to talk hoops. Recently, Magic Johnson was at I believe a college. We have a soundbite from that. We're going to play it right now, and then we're going to dig in deeply to the NBA lockout, and also, why do the NBA legends hate LeBron James? Here's Magic Johnson.
Always be great players in basketball. There's going to be always guys who win championships in the NBA, except LeBron. Don't be mad. Everybody asks me, well, who's better between Kobe and LeBron? Are you kidding me? I'm like, are you kidding me? Kobe, 5 championships, LeBron, 0. I love the young man, though. I know he's going to get better in the fourth quarter this year. He's a triple-double threat every single game, and he's going to get better.
All right, you know what? That's a minute and 30-second soundbite. Had to be played almost in its entirety because Magic's comments, so fitting, I think plays into this little round table that we have going right now, fellas. Tim, let me start off with you, and quickly, Magic Johnson, first of all, I mean, obviously, you didn't ref against Magic. He was gone by that point, but you must have had some interactions with him over the years. Pretty much a class act. He's one of the few Lakers that Celtics fans will actually get behind and say, yeah, he's all right. Do you agree with him that Kobe pretty much destroys LeBron?
I mean, the bottom line is I did referee Magic when he was on the floors last year. He did coach when I refereed. You know, as of right now...
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, Tim. My bad.
That's right. I got to agree with, the fact that, as of right now, when you talk about a Kobe and LeBron, there's really no comparison. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I mean, when you talk about players that have won championships and have done it on the court, year after year, he's done so much more than LeBron has done. He's just a little bit older right now, and people are hoping that LeBron turns into that, player like a Kobe Bryant. I mean, he's young enough that he has a lot of years ahead of him, and I certainly think he's going to get some championships under his belt. It's just a matter of when.
You did referee against Magic. You were still refereeing when LeBron came into the league. Had you seen any sort of hype that was, maybe a parallel to what we saw when LeBron was coming into the league for any other player?
No, absolutely not. I mean, he was talked about, I think, when he was a junior in high school, how he was going to change the league and do different things. And I got to be honest with you, I mean, I heard that about a lot of different players before they came in, but he certainly came in and he produced. He did it on the floor, and he was very productive his first year in the league. I think that people just thought that when they surrounded him with those players in Cleveland that they were going to get a championship, and they didn't. I think that they thought this year when they surrounded him with Wade and Bosh that they were going to get a championship, and they didn't. But I think that they're certainly going to get one, if not two, sometime in the very near future. I think they have that much talent.
Yeah, Tim, and I'm going to stay with this for a moment. Do you think that the hype surrounding LeBron, even though he loves the media attention, he seems to play into it all the time, but do you feel that the hype surrounding LeBron has kind of hurt his, the way it played against him? Let's put it that way.
Well, I think that he's felt the pressure. I mean, there's no doubt about it. When you talk about him not producing in the last minutes of games and in the fourth quarter and in big playoff time situations, that it weighs on him, and it weighs on him when he's going through those situations, and I think that pressure has gotten to him, but I think that he's going to be able to get through that. He has that much talent and that has that much ability that, I think that this year that he's going to be in a position where they win the championship.
Well, I loved everything about it. It's funny because for all my hatred for the Los Angeles Lakers, Magic Johnson doesn't fit in under that umbrella. There's a lot more respect there for Magic. I mean, it's really got to be aggravating for him as an all-time legend, is one of the greatest players to ever live, to keep hearing all this garbage about LeBron James. I mean, I know that him and Larry and Michael, they're not just going to publicly come out and say it, but they've got to be sick and tired of hearing about how this guy, is going to be compared to them one day, because I don't care if the guy wins 10 championships in a row. It's not going to matter. This guy, for all the talent and all the athleticism that he has, he just doesn't have that it factor for me. I mean, I think Wade is a better player. I think if Rose was 5 inches taller, he'd be LeBron. LeBron is a freak of nature.
If my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle.
And that's fine, but you look at it. Out of all the guys in the history of the NBA that come in, that are overhyped and overrated, LeBron is at the top of my list. It used to be Vince Carter, but LeBron James is at the top of my list because the simple fact of the matter is, 9 years into your career, when you can still be defended by going under a screen and making you shoot a jump shot, I don't give a crap what your name is. You're not ever going to be.
And that's going to change if Miami wins 2 out of the next 3 championships in my mind, and I would think in somebody like your mind, which is very possible that they will do that.
Well, here's the thing. It won't change unless LeBron James is the main reason that they do it. And even if they do win a ring, it's always going to come back to the simple fact that he couldn't do it as the guy. It's always going to be Wade's team, no matter what. The Miami Heat are Dwayne Wade's team, period, end of story. I don't care, how much LeBron tries to score and, what he gets as far as statistical averages. It's always going to be Dwayne Wade's team, and everybody's always going to come back to, but he couldn't do it as the alpha dog on a team. He had to go and be someone's Robin, to Wade's Batman and Chris Bosh's Green Lantern. It's not going to matter in most people's opinions, and it's basically going to drive the hatred for this guy up more.
Let's face it, guys, and Tim, I don't know, you chime in on this too, but there ain't no way Miami is winning a championship unless LeBron is the main guy, unless LeBron does step it up in those moments.
I mean, they have that much talent between the 3 of them. When you talk about Bosh, Wade, and you talk about James, I mean, there are 3 guys that, when they're on the floor at the end of a game in a key situation, any of them can take that last shot, and any of them can make it. And I just think that, when you talk about, the next 3 years, I think that they're very capable of winning 2 out of the next 3 championships.
All right, folks. Let's go to the first caller. Caller's live, guys.
Hey, what's up? We got Nick, right?
Yes, it is. How's it going, guys?
What's going on, Nick?
Hey, before I get going, I have a quick message for Tim. I'm actually still a student right now and been kind of spreading the message about the site. A couple friends of mine that go to school, big basketball fans, and, I came into class this afternoon, and they say, hey, is the show with Tim Donaghy on tonight? I said, yeah, make sure you guys listen in. So you've been earning some serious props at school. They really like the fact that this station has some credibility going on with it, with a recognizable name of that nature. So keep doing what you're doing, and it's definitely going a long way. But what I wanted to call in tonight was about the lockout. I want to see where you guys think some of this blame should fall on right now. I mean, obviously, things are starting to turn ugly. I don't know if you guys saw the news today about a bunch of the star players are going to be joining a barnstorming tour, if you will. I can't help but blame the players for this thing delaying, and I'm kind of aggravated because this is a game that we love, and to have it taken away like this because, and don't get me wrong, I think both sides have as much fault as the other, but I really think the players are kind of crossing the line right now, and to see what you guys' thoughts are on it.
We're certainly, I think that I blame the owners for the situation because the owners created the situation. But as far as getting it rectified, they're going to get it rectified at the players' expense. And now the players need to understand that for a lot of years they had a lot of good things, but it's time that, to give back and let the owners make money in businesses that they own and created. So, it's no doubt in my mind that the owners created this mess, but it's also, no secret that I've said in the past that it's their prerogative to get this thing corrected. So I think that they will get it corrected. I know Scotty has, some other thoughts that he's going to share with you, but that's my perspective of it.
Yeah, I'm on the player side completely here. Now, look, I understand that these guys are the highest paid athletes essentially per average in all of professional sports, and I get that they make a lot of money, and without us, they're not afforded that privilege. But at the same time, I liken this to a family who eats McDonald's for 7 years every single day, and at the end of the 7 years,
I'm so sick of this analogy.
Comes back and tries to sue McDonald's for getting fat and costing them all that money, and they want to try and sue them and get their money back. Well, how was McDonald's in the wrong? They're the ones that went there. That's the same thing with the owners. They're the ones that signed the collective bargaining agreement to begin with, giving these players all this money. They weren't good with their businesses. They didn't handle it right. They didn't put good enough products on the floor. They didn't try and do everything to maximize the talent. They didn't have the good enough scouting departments. They oversigned these guys to major contracts, and now they want the players to bail them out. And now they're
okay. Well, first of all, Mike, that's kind of asinine because now McDonald's is closed, okay, and they're going to open up with a new menu. So if you want to go to McDonald's to eat, then you're going to go back. If not, then go somewhere else.
Don't you guys feel though? And you bring up the contract situation. I know a lot of that goes on the blamers for a lot of the blame of that goes on the owners, but don't you feel that there should be some kind of personal integrity on the behalf of the players? I mean, let's think about it. Some of these guys that get a full mid-level exception, shouldn't be getting much more than the minimum. and they get the mid-level exception and they play, worse than someone who's getting the minimum pay. Don't you think that there should be some personal integrity on behalf of the players saying, listen, you know what, I probably don't deserve this money?
Well, let me ask you that. Say when you get out of school and you apply for a job at, like we'll just call it Business A, and they offer to pay you, six figures, $100,000 a year. You do, good work for a little while, then your work sloughs off a little bit. You may have some things going on in your personal life. Why does that matter? They're the ones that offered to pay you that money. Why, you're not going to say, well, you know what, I'm not pulling my weight. I'm going to give you back some of my own money because I don't think I'm deserving this. Nobody in their right mind is going to turn down the highest bidder. It's just not.
No, you're going to take
happen.
it and take it and take it until they come to you and say, whoa, wait a minute, this isn't working out, and that's what's happening right now.
Do you think that non-guaranteed contracts, kind of like how it is in football, might alleviate this issue, though?
It would help. I'm all for that because you got these guys signing these big deals and then basically just turning around and saying, you know what, I don't give a shit anymore.
Well, here's the big misconception. NBA contracts aren't all guaranteed. That's a huge misconception here. The thing is, the high-end guys, the top-end players, they're the ones that usually get, the guarantee on the 3 or the 4 years. But all NBA franchises don't have to give players guaranteed contracts. But if they don't, they're not going to get the top-end players. And that's where a lot of the problem lies. It's a huge misconception that these guys get guaranteed contracts. It's not true.
Anybody that has a contract in the NBA, whether it's for 1 year, 3 years, or 5 years, to my understanding, is a guaranteed contract.
But they don't have to give them guaranteed contracts.
But they do, and that's what they're signing, so it is a guaranteed contract.
It sounds good, guys. I appreciate taking the call, and I look forward to hearing you guys next week.
Thanks, pal. Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
This situation, Mike, and I got to get in on this, this topic here. I mean, you're looking at employees that are running the ship. I don't know any business, whether it's entertainment or sports or a restaurant or anything else, where they would allow their employees to completely run the show. So there's a lack of control, not just with the salaries, the contracts, but also with the overall, I think the NBA in general. These players are completely out of control, the way that they're behaving, the money they're being paid. And, Mike, we go over this over and over and over. But for the future of the league, the people involved in this association, they need to compromise in some areas for the betterment of the product long term. And let's face it, if the teams are losing money, which they are, and there's no product move, that means there's no product moving forward. So I continue with my same argument here that the players need to bow down and let's start playing hoops. I mean, enough is enough.
And they will. They will bow down. It may just take another 2 or 3 weeks, but they will eventually bow down. We will get basketball. It's going to come around Christmas, January 1st, and we'll be back into watching these guys run up and down the floor.
Tim, I've heard you say that before, but in '99, the owners bowed down.
I think the owners, got to a point where they did bow down and came to a conclusion that, the entire season would certainly be canceled. I think this time they're holding the cards. They're getting paid, TV money, even though the games aren't going on. And I think that they want to get it right this time. I think that they want to leave this, Stern wants to leave his legacy behind of having a good deal for the owners. He's going to hang around a year or two, and they're going to look back, and they're going to say, that he put the game in a great position, and the owners making an enormous amount of money.
Coincidentally coinciding with Stern's 30th year as NBA commissioner. Do you think that we'll see Stern after 30 years?
I hope not. I absolutely hope not. I mean, from a marketing standpoint and how the game has grown to a worldwide entity, that's where my credit for Stern completely ends. I believe it's actually the third lockout that he's had. This is only the second one, though, where we've actually missed games. And this isn't a knock on Tim, believe me, but he's had the Donaghy scandal, during his time as commissioner, and yet he refused to do anything about the officiating problems, despite the fact that Tim came out and was proven to be telling the truth about it. There's so much negativity behind Stern's legacy as a commissioner. I can't wait till he's out the door. The only problem is if Adam Silver is the guy that's going to step in, who knows if it's going to change or not. I think you're going to have to get somebody that isn't tied to the NBA but is a great businessman to come in and lead the NBA, or we're never going to see a change. It's going to continually be this way. I will always hold firm to this. If they would have cleared up the officiating issues a long time ago, the fans wouldn't have left in droves like they did, We wouldn't have had to have had Celtics Lakers in 2008 to save the game again, the way Bird and Magic did back in the day, and then they wouldn't, be wink wink losing money like they say they are.
I mean, I think there's no doubt about it that change would be good for the NBA. But when you talk about Adam Silver, he's been trained under David Stern for many years, and the same old stuff is going to continue. I think though that David Stern has tried to change some things behind the scene, getting rid of some guys that are on the officiating staff, demoting some guys, but it's not making a major dent into what is being done night in and night out. It's still very much predictable with some of these stars. So until that gets out of the game, he's going to continue to have problems.
All right, folks, this is Technically Speaking. You've listened to it right here live on CLNSradio.com. We are live every Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. We're also uploading every episode onto YouTube, so you can check us out there or subscribe to us on iTunes. Folks, thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next week. Enjoy the World Series. Have a great night.